Hello, my name is Dr. Ruthie, or Dr. Ruth Newstifter if you want to be formal. I'm a professional sexuality educator and I blog over at exploringintimacy.com. I'm also the author of The Nice Girl's Guide to Talking Dirty, but today I'm here thanks to the folks at funwares.com answering your questions about sex and relationships. If you want to send me a question, I hope that you do. You can email it to the address right down there, AskDrRuthie, AskDrRuthie at funwares.com, or you can tweet me at Dr. Ruthie, DrRuthie. The first question I have today is a really good one, and it was kind of long, and we went back and forth a little bit by email, so I'm just going to summarize it up for you. This great guy in his mid-20s is with his girlfriend, and she comes from a little bit more conservative Christian background. She's never had an orgasm before, and she's not super comfortable with touching herself. The two of them enjoy being together, and she really likes it when he stimulates her with his fingers. The problem is that when she gets really close to an orgasm, her clitoris gets hypersensitive and she can't take stimulation anymore, so she's never quite making it over the edge. So I'm thrilled that both of them are enjoying their time together and lots of good stimulation. And you know what, I gotta tell you, it always makes me happy when there's a guy in a guy-girl relationship who's writing to me and wants to know how to please his girlfriend more. And you might be surprised, over the years I've learned not to be, but those are a huge number of the letters that I get in. So I know that guys get kind of a reputation about being not generous enough with pleasure, and I'm sure there's people of all genders like that out there. But I get a lot of guys in guy-girl relationships who write in with questions about wanting to please her better and help her be more comfortable. So good job, guys, breaking the stereotypes. Keep up the good work. So let's answer this guy's question. The first thing I want to do is make sure that we're all on the same page with information. So I'm going to bring out my Wondrous Vulva puppet here, and we're going to talk a little bit about Mimi and where the lay of the land is. So every vulva looks different. Now this one has, it's made out of velvet and satin, and the colors are not realistic, so we know that this is kind of an artistic representation, but it's got all the important parts in all the right places. So when you are confronted face to face with the vulva, or you look at your own in the mirror, or someone else's, whatever the case may be, you're gonna see all of these same parts, even though they may look slightly different. They'll be in about the same places. What you need to know is that these are the outer lips where the hair grows and up around here, and these are the inner lips. These inner lips may be really, really petite and tucked in, or they may be really, really long and flowery, but the one thing that's consistent is they're not the exact same size and shape. It would be extremely rare to find someone who's perfectly symmetrical here, and super common to find people who are not anywhere near symmetrical with their inner lips. That's normal, that's healthy, that's beautiful. We don't want everybody to have the same size and shape nose, so we also want lots of diversity when it comes to our genitalia. Up here is the clitoris, and this is the home of the orgasm. This is what our email asker is asking about as far as stimulation. This is where most women have their orgasms. Some women also have orgasms from G-spot stimulation or vaginal stimulation. The G-spot is one area on the upper side, like the belly button wall of the vagina, just a little ways inside, not very far. But even women who really love internal stimulation will most frequently also need or want to have clitoral stimulation at the same time for orgasms. It's not a 100% must, it's just kind of the norm that we would expect. There's nothing unhealthy about you if you can orgasm from only vaginal stimulation. Just know that you're in the small minority, and that's cool. It's just part of the natural diversity again. What worries me is when people feel like they have to have an orgasm just from vaginal stimulation or there's something wrong with them. That's not the case. You're actually in the majority if it's the clitoral stimulation that's doing it for you, or you need a little bit of that or a lot of that mixed in with the vaginal stimulation. Okay, so this area up here is the clitoral hood. Some folks with vulvas will have tons and tons of skin here that goes down into the labia, and it's really flowery, and some women will have a little bit, and some women will have next to nothing at all, and all of that is fine. In fact, all of this diversity has pretty much no impact on how well your genitals work for pleasure or for any other purposes you may want to use your genitals for, like reproduction or anything like that. For some folks, there's skin here that can be moved up and down and you can see the clitoris visibly. For other folks, the skin isn't there, or it can't be moved in that way. It can be moved around, but you won't actually be able to visibly see the clitoris under there. It's all good. It all makes for great pleasure and fun and beautiful vulvas. And then the vaginal opening is down from here just a little bit, and that's the area where penetration happens, if it's going to happen at all in the vulva. So great, and we know the G-spot is inside there. What's represented by this little flower here, just at the very top of the vaginal opening, is the urethral opening. That's where pee comes out. Generally speaking, unless you're into something rather kinky and less, less typically envisioned as sex, you're probably not putting anything in your urethra. So anyway, that is where everything is here on the Wondrous Vulva Puppet. And what our email person is saying is that his girlfriend really likes to feel internal stimulation with fingers, 1 finger, 2 finger, we don't know, they have fun, good for them. But really, really likes to have the clitoral stimulation. So we know that she's like the majority of people with vulvas. Most women want to have that clitoral stimulation to get off entirely or in part. But, and this is really normal too, as she gets close to orgasm, gets really aroused, so the clitoris is erectile tissue, so it's plumping up and getting full of blood and all that stuff. It gets too sensitive, and she's not able to continue to be stimulated there, so she's not having that orgasm. And she's not had an orgasm before. So the first thing I asked him was, are you using any kind of lubricants and are you using any kind of sex toys? One of the nice things about a sex toy is that it has the same repetitive motion for as long as your batteries last, or if you plug it in for a really, really long time, longer than you need. And that repetitive motion can be really key in helping somebody get over the edge, right? You can turn down the intensity, but it keeps the same type of stimulation going. That rumbling, vibrating sensation will happen even if you turn down the volume on the intensity level. But she's not comfortable with sex toys even though he's offered, so that's fine. That's totally your choice and option. It's not required, especially not in this case. So the other thing I asked about was lubricant. Why? Because when this area gets stimulated a lot, it can be too sensitive to touch with friction. So making sure that the clitoral area is really well lubricated can be very useful in helping get over that bump to get to the orgasm. He assures me that they're using lubricant, they're using Sliquid, which is a great brand, so as long as it's not causing any uncomfortable sensitivity issue, like there's no aloe allergy or just some ingredient like that, then we're just fine with Sliquid. It's a good brand, I'm all for them. So it's not something that lube can necessarily help with, although be mindful, adding a little more lube to the clitoris right then might be useful. Even if she's already wet, adding that extra bit can help reduce friction, which can be useful. The next suggestion I have is if she has a clitoral hood like this, if you're not already, try stimulating over the hood and rubbing the skin instead of the clitoris directly. That can reduce the amount of friction and help to make the stimulation a little less intense. My next suggestion to you is that see if you can feel the root of the clitoris. So if you go above and behind where the clitoris is located, whether you can see it or not on your partner and yourself, you'll feel the erectile tissue through the fleshy part right up above. There's a lot of folks who find it extremely stimulating to rub this area back and forth. It's less intense, and there's definitely not the friction issue going on. So when the clitoris is erect and it's really turned on and all that good stuff, you can rub back there and find it and stroke it that way through the flesh. So that can, just like stroking over the skin makes it a little less intense, stroking right here can make it a lot less intense. So that would be a little technique trick that I would recommend for you. The last thing I want to say is that, this is not the case for all women, but I definitely see it with a lot of women, is that before you've had your first orgasm, it's kind of like you don't know how to do it. Now, an orgasm is a natural physical response that, that will happen given enough physical and or mental stimulation. But if you've never had one before, you might get tense because you feel like your body's getting a little out of control, the sensations are overwhelming, you're not quite sure what to do or what's going to happen, and it could be that you kind of get blocked up, say stop, stop, or you kind of mentally put the brakes on it even if that's not happening physically. My recommendation is make sure you have lots of time and to take the pressure off of having an orgasm and just see how long you can enjoy stimulation for. And that means getting, to that close place and then backing off, and then getting close and backing off over and over again. And doing that repeatedly will eventually, as people get comfortable with that, oftentimes get a person to the place where they can't hold back from having that orgasm as long as they feel happy and safe and the stimulation is good and lube and all that good stuff. That could be really useful. Now, if there's actual physical pain, definitely you want to stop, right? If the physicalness of it feels uncomfortable, that's a good reason to back off, add lube, back off, and then move back forward again. But what if the feeling is just there's this intensity that I don't know what to do with, and it's building up in this kind of ambiguously overly intense feeling, you might ask her if she would consider just riding that feeling for a while, breathing really deeply and just allowing that feeling to happen. Again, we don't want any kind of pain or anything, but if this kind of amorphous over intensity feeling and not a direct, sharp discomfort, and then to just ride with that and know that that's a sign that you're getting really close. That's part of that plateau for some women to get to the orgasm. Once she's had one, and especially once she's had a few, she'll learn how to ride that and really enjoy that feeling and anticipate that strong intensity if indeed that's what's happening. So I don't know, hopefully this will be useful to you, give you some suggestions to move forward with. Good job, both of you. Keep up the great teamwork. If she gets to a place where she feels comfortable stimulating herself and exploring or perhaps trying toys, that's great too. But I'm just glad that the two of you are healthy and happy and doing things in an enjoyable way. And good job. It takes some practice. Let her know that that's perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with her at all. And have fun while you're at it practicing. I'm Dr. Ruthie. Thanks to funwares.com, and I will see you at the next video.